I don't think it's right because already there are some allocations that are made for that one. So for them to now go ahead and for the embassy to now be the one that will pay that, I think it's absurd. And they were telling people that there is no money, there is no money. But where did they get that one from? There shouldn't be something like that. I don't think it's right. In my own opinion, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. I think they should deal with him. I think, I won't say he should be fired, but they should try him first. They should listen to him. The reason why things is like that. And eventually, if he's found guilty, then I think he should go.
Number one is an act against the war against corruption of President Muhammadu Buhari, and is a repetition of what have always been happening in recent time in Nigeria political history. It has not really taken us away from what we've always been known for, what we've always been, and our act and our disposition against corruption. Number one, it's really a confirmation of the past for what has been budgeted for to be paid for again by a foreign emissary office, because I don't know how to call it, but it's another form of grandiose corruption. It's what have already been budgeted again being expended in another country. I don't know what I will put, the way I will put it. The best way I can put it for is another form of corruption. I think this is fast becoming a litmus test for the war against corruption of Mr. President. So if his aides or kitchen cabinets are really emerged in the corruption, and he has really been finding it difficult to take a strong position against them. I think that's the number one thing, and I think it's a litmus test. We must say it's a litmus test. If the president cannot take a strong position, there have been chains of allegations against the Kishi cabinet, and he has not really come out to make a position. And this is really a strong position or a strong way to tell Nigerians that his anti-corruption war is still nowhere.
Well, I just feel that it shows that the government has failed us in all ramification. That's just the truth. Those expenses is like coming up twice, thrice. So for me, it's a way of corruption. It's corruption itself. That's the way I see it. One thing I've come to realize is that we pay heavily and so much on advisors. What is their duty if they cannot advise the president well? I have no advice for the president. Let those advisors that we are paying heavily, let them talk to Buhari, let them speak to the president about what has happened.
It's an injustice, and it's unbecoming of a government that is fighting corruption. It's not something that is expected from them. And Abba Kyari himself, a lot of them have said about him that is the one that is blessing this government, giving them a negative posture. So it's unbecoming. It's not right. So the man is supposed to be removed. Now let them remove the man. He's not doing something that is in favor of the masses. He's amassing wealth to himself. That's the way I feel about it.
That's what we call corruption. In Buhari's chief of staff has money. The government have given him money for allowance, money for traveling, money for visa. This is what we call corruption in the high place. Nigeria government, Nigeria embassy cannot see pay for the chief of staff coming to the overseas. It is corruption, highly corruption. They are using our money to do family meeting. We don't like that. There is hunger in Nigeria. People are dying. The money they are using to pay for him, they should use it and build company, employ people, do good things for students. Everything is expensive all over Nigeria. Let them help us, sir. This government is hardship. We are not benefiting anything. Let him be fired. The earlier the better, so that corruption will reduce. He's a corrupt man. Let him be fired. The earlier the better, so that Nigeria will be good for the future one and for our generation on board.
It's not good for Nigerian embassy to use our country money to pay for their boss. So it is very bad habit. So they should try to do what is right for Nigeria fellow citizens, so that our country will not be in mess. You understand? So I think it's very wrong. It's very wrong.
I think there is money. I think there is money allocated for that. So from my own perspective, it is wrong. It is entirely wrong. So that is my own little contribution about that. If he's found wanting, then there is provision in the law of the land. To every land there is provision of the law. So my own contribution is for every one that is found wanting in one area, let the provision of the law take adequate place, adequate position to every situation. That's my position.
In actual fact, that
actually absurd. It's something uncalled for. But in reality, that's what happens in Nigeria today, where we see government officials actually using money that is meant for other important things for their personal use, and that's also an act of corruption. And like it has been said, it has to do with you and I and every other person to also ensure that corruption is not part of us and not part of our country, by actually condemning such acts. And I expect the presidency, this time I'm not talking about the president himself, first, the presidency, meaning the cabinet members of the president, including the president himself, to actually react to that swiftly and bring justice to that.
Well, it's actually very, very funny. First of all, I see no reason why. These people will be sick or whatever, they will have to fly abroad for treatment. If those money they spend there, they can invest it in this country, I believe that we can do more. We have qualified medical doctors, qualified surgeons, qualified pediatricians. They are all very, 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 very qualified. But there is no funding for them here. That is why any government official fall sick, common headache, they will fly to India, fly to London, fly to China, fly to Germany for treatment. Why can't they invest the money here? That means the average Nigerian cannot even afford quality medication, quality treatment for himself. So how do you expect Nigerians to smile towards that? Using other people's money to take care of himself there, claiming there is no fund. I mean, it's part of the corruption we are talking about. That is why when this man, what's his name, said some leaders of some fantastically corrupt leaders, or some people are reacting. Why are you reacting? When we know that this country, our leaders are fantastically corrupt, from the head to the toe. All of them are fantastically corrupt. That is why our president will have to travel how many times in a month for treatment. That is why chief of remind me again, chief of staff will have to travel from Nigeria here. Okay, what's now the essence of loot? As in Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, can they equip the hospital, put the correct facilities there? Those things they are going abroad there to do. Why can't they do it here? President Buhari himself, I'm sorry to say, is my president. I voted for him, but I'm disappointed at his performance so far. So if me advising them to advising President Buhari to fire the chief of staff, I know he wouldn't listen to me. He wouldn't listen to Nigerians, because he too is fantastically corrupt. I'm sorry to say, that is the truth. That is my own opinion.
That's serious right now, because I don't really expect such to be happening from a senior political officer from Nigeria. Because right now in Nigeria now, we are involved in a lot of recession right now. That every average masses that is moving on the street now, if you ask them what's happening to them right now, they're in critical condition right now. So I don't really expect such person should be using the funds of Nigeria to be caring for the senior political officers. That's very, very bad. I think that the man really needs to be investigated right now, because that's not really good for Nigeria right now. I don't really expect that to be coming from somebody like that. So Buhari's government needs to still investigate this situation and let us know what's really happening there, because this information that is coming out from Sahara reporters now, the way I say it is I think it's a very right information, and something that I've been finding out before. So right now I think it's something that Nigerians need to move up and let us look into this case, and this man really needs to be investigated right now. To me, they need to investigate him, and if he needs to be fired, they should fire him immediately, because we have competent hands out there, people that are learned, that are exposed, that have good knowledge, that are very, very experienced. Let them come into this position. Don't let us use political positions for these people again. Where right now, the problem we have in Nigeria is because we are using the same power of putting our friends and our colleagues and our people that have sponsored us, our people that have supported us, put them in position. That's not good for us right now. We need people that are up and doing, people that are experienced out there. let them come into this position and help us out of this situation.
When you are shielding corruption, when you are protecting your ace, and you are busy fighting the opposition or your perceived enemy, my brother, it is not a war on corruption. We have to be objective in everything we are doing. We have to be honest. That's the only way this country can move forward. You cannot shield your family, you cannot shield your friends, you cannot shield your business associates, you cannot shield your ace from corruption. Then you are fighting others. Then you think we can believe you are the war on corruption is that you are fighting a sincere war. You cannot work out. So what we are saying is that money that has been given to the chief of staff should be returned to the Nigerian embassy. Is Nigerian money and it should be returned. Meanwhile, this Abba Kyari, he is even the de facto president of Nigeria. I have to say it, because Buhari, you can say everything. Buhari only listens to that his kitchen cabinet, and he's the chief kitchen, he's the chief cook there. So what we are saying is, let's do what is right.
I don't think it's possible, and it's not possible. I would say it's greedy. If they doesn't care about the masses, and who are they working for? They are working for us, we the masses. I don't think it's possible. We already happened, but there's nothing God cannot do. God can change, He can reverse it. You know, God owns every heart of a man. It's God that put Buhari there, but maybe Buhari may not know what they're doing, but I think the authority, God will do something about it. I would say yes, it can be fired, and I would say no again, because fire them doesn't solve the pollution. And why the people around him, chief of the staff, all corrupt too. We can't be judging about them. It's all of them corrupt. But we need, like I said it's God that can do things to change the whole thing.
Actually, it's unfair for them to have done that. Masses are suffering in Nigeria, so the money they ought to have used for the upkeep of the masses. It's very, very unfair for them to have done that anyway. That is for my personal opinion. Actually, to what our president, to his mission to fight corruption, I believe that everybody is equal before the law. Nobody is above the law. So remember that is court that is doing what is not right. Then it deserves to be fired.